Hello and welcome back to the Epic Z's. Today I'm going to be showing you a video editing software and how to use it. It's called Lightworks. So in order to install it, you're first going to want to go to this website and download now. And this is just the free version, and in my opinion, it works just fine for the free version. If you really wanted to, you could get the full version. Um, but for someone that's just a hobby, it's just your hobby to edit videos and stuff like that, this will work fine. So operating system up here, I'm going to choose Windows because I'm on Windows. And then 32-bit, 64-bit, I did 64-bit. And then you're going to click that, and then that will download. And then go to your downloads folder and find, once that downloads, where it is. So this is where it'll be. Double click that, say yes to this, choose your language, click next, agree to the terms. You can just leave these all checked, that's fine. Choose where you would like it to install, and then choose any program, where you want any program shortcuts for the program. I'm not going to click next because it'll actually install, and I already have it, and I don't want it again. But you can just click next and it'll install, and that might take a little while, so just let that sit and then come back. So once that is installed, what you're going to want to do is I have a desktop shortcut. If not, you could go to wherever you installed it and just open that up. It might take a few minutes. Right there. So these are some projects I've already done. Yeah, so it might prompt you, it most likely will prompt you to make an account in order to do the free version. And just make an account, it'll ask you for username and password, just do that, and then you should be able to get somewhere to this page. You obviously won't have projects if you've never done this before. But yeah, so that's how you installed Lightworks. Okay, so now to create your video, what you're going to want to do is go up to New Project, and then type in a name for your video. I'm just going to do video editing tutorial 2 because I already made one to make sure everything was working. So I'm just calling this 2. And for frame rate, I'm going to do 60 frames per second. And then you just click create. And once that loads up, you should get this screen. And so this is a little bit different. If you've used Lightworks previously, it might look different. This is a new update. I think it looks better. Has like these tabs up here that it didn't have before. Yeah, but anyways, so in order to import your videos from your computer, you're going to want to go to local files, and then you can specify the destination of those videos. So mine are on the desktop and screen recording videos. So these are this is from a previous video I did, and I'm just going to be using these to show how to edit videos, stuff like that. So you can just double click it, it'll import each one. Just double click each one, and once they're all imported, you'll be able to go to project contents, and you'll see all of your videos here. And so next, in these, just to give a little essentially summary of this page, log kind of just shows you your videos, information about the clips, the different sequences, which is essentially like, in this they call entire like movie a sequence because it's like a sequence of clips, and the clips are the individual videos that you're using to make your video. Okay, so in order to start actually combining your clips to make a video, you're going to want to drag. I'm going to just make this a little bit smaller. Just drag your video from project contents right into this, and it should like snap towards the beginning of it like that. And then just let go. and you'll see V1 and then these. V1 is the actual like video part of it, and then A1 and A2 are just audio. So you can edit those separately, and I'll show you how to edit the audio a little bit later. So now that you have this video, you can just keep on adding the videos. So I'm going to put in ice cream screen recorder next, and you can just drag that right, and it should snap to the end of that. And I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. Oh, I can't, I'm all the way. Okay, so then just keep adding in your videos. And the last one. Okay, so now that you have all your videos in, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit because it allows you to like see the individual clips a little bit easier. So basically this screen is just for editing the clips and arranging them how you want them, maybe cutting certain parts out of the clip. And this screen right here is the preview of your movie for the most part, so you'll see this as you move this also moves. So it just shows you where you are, and these buttons are to jump. Like this is obviously play. I'm actually gonna mute my audio so that you don't hear the feedback from the video. And this is just to move forwards like a little bit. I don't even know if that's, yeah, there we go, that's working. And this is to jump to the next clip essentially, so you see this jump forwards and backwards to the very beginning or end of a clip. These set like a starting point and an ending point, so then you could, for instance, delete part of the video, or if you wanted to add something that only took place between these, that's what you would use. And this is, I believe, just to get rid of the start and end points. And then these are to remove certain clips, and this is if you wanted to like record a voice over your video. So that's pretty much the gist of just adding your videos, arranging them, and next we'll get into actually editing the video in the Edit tab. Now we're going to be editing the video inside the Edit tab. So I'm going to show you first how, so if you're recording a video, like for me, as you can see in the video, I start out just looking at OBS for a second because I'm like starting up the recording, and then I actually start showing how to do the video. So obviously if you're doing that, you wouldn't want your like, you know, behind the scenes setting things up to be in the video. So the way you can cut that out using Lightworks is just, you can like just click this to get to the very start of your video, and then put in a start node. And then what you can do is just sort of drag over to where maybe like right before you start talking, where you want the video to actually start. And then I'm just going to say like around right here, I want the video to actually start playing. I can put an end node or an out node. So then if I like move this, you'll see that there are these two little blue things that show like a start and an end. So I want to get rid of everything in between. And the way I can do that is there's two ways. One is to remove the marked section, which then replaces it with the black. And the next one is to delete it and close the gap. I like to do close the gap because then it does what you want it to do. It moves the start of your video to right where you want it to be, essentially, so that there's not this random period of black in between here and here. So you're going to want to close the gap. So then see, it just jumps this to the start of your video. Okay, so yeah, and you can do that for all of the clips. I'm not going to show you how to do that for each one because that's just time consuming. But if you had multiple clips like this and you wanted them to flow nicely, you could cut like at the end a little bit. Like, see, I go back and turn off the software, so I could cut that out if I wanted to. And yeah, so that's the basics for just editing your video, making it like the flow nice, I guess. So now what I'm going to show you how to do is how to edit the specific audio. So let's say that your audio came out really, really quiet for whatever reason, and you might want it a little bit louder. So you're going to want to go to the audio tab, and you might be able to see it. There's this little like white dotted line on the audio, and you'll want to hover over that, and you should get a little like arrow marker next to your cursor. And just if you click that and drag it, it's not working. There, if you click that and then drag it up, you'll see that it changes the decibels. So drag it down, that makes it quieter. You'll see sort of the little like engravings here getting smaller as I go down and bigger as I go up, and bigger is louder. So that's just, you can mess with it a little bit however you, and get the right volume of sound that you think is right for your video. And you can also, you should be able to, if you like hover over, oh yeah, here it is. If you go right here, you should see a little triangle, and oh, I know why it wasn't showing up. You just have to go back to the beginning. So see here, there should be a little triangle in the corner. If you click that and drag, that makes essentially like a fade in. So if I do that, you'll see that if I have my audio on, you could hear the it sort of gets quiet and then it gets louder up to the normal volume. And you can also do that right here at the end of it. You could have it fade out a little bit if you want to just have that effect in. So that's the gist of audio editing. And in the next clip, we'll see how to actually add different effects to your video. Okay, so now for editing your video, or adding effects to your video, you're going to want to go up to VFX, this tab, and there's so many effects in Lightworks, I would not be able to make a video that explains them all. So I'm just going to be showing you a few simple but useful effects that you can add into your video. And the first one is going to be adding just text onto the screen. So there are, if you click this little plus button, you can add new effects, and these are different like categories of effects. The first one I'm going to be showing you is in text, and there are sort of two ways that I add effects to the video. One is if you just drag this right onto the video, you'll see this little green tab, and that means that this sample text that you can see here is going to be displayed throughout this entire clip, and will stop once you get to the next clip, which in this case is ice cream. And so that's one way, but let's say you only wanted it to show up from like here to here or something like that. So I'm just going to click undo. The way you would do that is if you go to the start of your video and then add a start, and then go a little ways to like here maybe, and add an end, then you can grab the title and then drag it in to right there, and you'll see this little title effect is right over the Bandicam video, and it will only display from here to here. So like if you look on up here, you'll see the text is showing, and then as you go, eventually when you get to here, it disappears. And if you hover, go over here to where the effects are, you'll be able to see the different settings for the effect. So you can like change the text to say like hello. Then there are other settings that you can play with, such as you can make the text bold or italics. You can change the size of your text, the opacity, like make it transparent or not. And then there are a couple other effects. This is to change the color of the text. There, so you can make it red if you wanted to. This is the position. You can do it from here if you want to be very precise about it, or you could just hover over it and drag like that. Shadow. Oh yeah, that's like if you wanted to have a shadow on the text like that, and you can change the color of your shadow. So if you wanted it to be like, I don't know, that doesn't, oh yeah, there. So it's more bold that way. There, you can add like a different color shadow if you wanted it to be like that. It's got some pretty crazy colors, but why not? This is like the outline of the text. So like if you wanted to have a bold, like black outline, and you can change the color of that too. And then you can change like the in and out effects essentially. Like if you wanted it to fade in, you'll see that it sort of like, yeah, fades in, does exactly that. And this is just the time that you want it to take. And the type rate effect actually I think is pretty cool. So I'm just gonna, this is seconds that you want it to take again. So see, it'll sort of like type it in like that. I think that's kind of neat. And there's the same, you can fade out if you wanted to have the ending of the text fade away. That's all the options for text. So now I'm just going to go to the next clip to show you the next effect. And the next effect is going to be adding a 2D shape. So if you go to New Effects again, and then go to the categories and click Matte, and then there are actually, I'm going to briefly go over some of these. Color bars is just, I'm not going to show you, but like, I guess I can show you. If you put that in, see, it just adds like a, it's sort of like what you'd see for like technical difficulties or something. I just think that's kind of cool that you can add that. So back to here, the 2D shape, simple 2D shape is the next effect I'm going to show you. So you can just drag that in on top of ice cream. I'm just going to show this for the entire video. I'm not going to do like an in and then out. And then in order, you'll notice here that it sort of has blocked out the rest of the video. It's just the white square with the black background. And there is a way to get rid of that. I'll show you in 1 second. So these are, you'll see here, these are all the effects for the shape. So to get rid of that black background, you have to go back up to another effect. And then you'll go to Mix. And then grab the blend and drop it onto the simple 2D shape. And then that, once you go back down here to your shape, if you go to your background and turn the alpha all the way down, you'll be able to see your background. And then the other settings in this, these are just the positions, sort of like in the text that you can do. And similar to the text also, you can drag it around. This is just the size, so if you wanted to have like a really big square, a really small square. And you can also change it if you wanted an oval or an ellipse instead of a rectangle, you could do that. And the softness sort of determines like the edges of the rectangle. So like if you have 0, it's very like pronounced edges. It looks like a rectangle. Whereas if you had a higher percentage of softness, it looks more faded. And then this is just the color. So if you wanted like a different color. So that's pretty much all there is to 2D shapes. And blend, I guess, like you could, for blending, it sort of blends these two things together, I guess. So you can like change the opacity of the shape to make it more transparent or not. If you wanted to like fade it in, I guess, or just have a like very faint shape on the screen. Okay, so next I'm going to go to the next video for the next effect. And then new effect, and we're going to go back to matte. And then select image and just drag that on top of iSpring. And then for images, you can see the settings for these down here. You're going to have to choose a file. So I'm just going to choose an image. I'm just going to do, this is for an app I made. It's just the logo. I'm just going to use that as my image. So you'll see the image is on the screen. And you'll, similar to the 2D shape, see that it's kind of blocked out the back of it. And to fix that, we're going to do the exact same thing that we did with the shape. So go to Mix, then Blend, and put that on the image. And then you'll be able to see it. Okay. And for the image, the settings are pretty straightforward. This is just the size, and then like width, or X scale and Y scale, which changes essentially the height and width of it. And then you can just drag it around if you wanted to change the position. They're hiding right there. That's if you want more precise positions. And then cropping, I guess you can, like, if you wanted to cut out part of the image, you could do that. It only works though with, like, I guess top down or left, right, bottom, top, as you can see down there. Yeah, so those are some pretty simple effects, but I think even with just those few effects, you could make a pretty like complex video, or just a simple video, but have pretty good effects. But you can always just go around and mess with some of these. I'm trying to find one that's actually, I'm going to show. I believe it's in Stylize. Yeah, it's in Stylize. So for this one, if you're like, watching TV or something, they'll sometimes blur out people's faces if they don't want to be seen. So that's what you can use for blur. If you only want a little bit of blur, and then this actually might be the wrong effect. Here, let me check this real quick. Yeah, never mind. That was not the thing I thought it was. Oh no, obscure. Here's what I'm looking for. Okay. I don't know why this color correction is here. I'm going to remove that. So I'm going to get rid of, for this video I accidentally added the wrong thing. So I'm just going to get rid of this blur. And to get rid of an effect, like if you decide you don't want it, you can just right click on the settings and remove. You could also do it out here. You can right click and remove. Actually, wait. Oh yeah, see effects and then remove. And you can choose if you have more than one, which one you want to remove. Okay, so I stopped the video there for a second because I had forgotten how to add that effect, but I just figured it out. So don't add, I thought it was blur up here, but that was not what I wanted. The effect I wanted to show you guys was obscure blur. That's why I got confused, because it did have blur in the name. You could also do blur mosaic, which is similar, it's just more pixelated. So obscure blur, I'm just going to drag this onto OBS, and it's going to add 3 effects actually with those. It's going to add a 2D shape, a blur, and a masked blend, which will in effect look like this little blurred. It'll blur out the image. So like you could put that over somebody's face if they didn't want to be shown in the video. And you can change the location here. You can change the widths if you wanted a lot of it or just a little bit. The softness like makes it essentially more or less faded. So if you really wanted the blur, you could have 0%. And I guess you can change, the color doesn't really do anything I haven't found, unless I'm missing something. But and then the blur amount you can change, like if you wanted a lot of blur or just a little bit of blur. I think that looks like too much though. I think more like something like that would look better. And then here again is just the opacity of the blend. So yeah, those are all the effects I wanted to show you, and I think with those effects, it's pretty good. With this free software, I think it's quite impressive, everything that you can do with the software, and that's not even all of the things you do. I mean, just looking at all of these different effects that you can add to your video. Which is why I used to use Windows Movie Maker until I found this, and I was like, wow, I've been using Windows Movie Maker forever when I could have been using this, which is also free. So I definitely think that if you're using like something like Windows Movie Maker or something similar to that, this would be a lot, in my opinion, a better solution to editing videos. I hope you learned something. Yeah, and there's actually, I just remembered, one more thing that's kind of important to making movies, is you're going to want to be able to export the video, obviously, if you want to like post it on YouTube or something like that. And the way to do that is go up here to the sequence and right click, and then you're going to want to go to export, hover over that, And the unfortunate thing is that your options are limited without the Pro version for exporting, which in my case isn't a big deal because I'm not going to be like exporting to Blu-ray or DVD. But if you did want to like export it as a movie file or an MPEG or something like that, you cannot do that, unfortunately. But you can just export it as a YouTube format, so then you could, post it on YouTube or Vimeo if that's what you wanted to do. So you could just click YouTube, and there are other settings. You can change the frame rate. You can change the size of your video, which, again, there's a limit depending on if you have the Pro or free version. And you can actually directly upload this to YouTube if you enter in your username and password and the different tags that you want it to have. And then the folder that you would like to put it into once it's done, and then the name, so I could just, video editing, whoops. And then you can click start, and then it would start exporting, but I don't really want to do that right now. Okay, so that is the basics of using Lightworks, and if there are any questions you want to learn about some new effect, if something's not working for you, just let me know in the comments below. And I hope you've enjoyed this video.